Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining the MTX Podcast. My name is Ed Smith, and I'm Vice President of Public Sector Engagement.
And I'm David Butler. I'm the Chief of Client Outcomes.
All right, David, what are you most excited about as a Chief of Client Outcomes?
I thought we might start with what I actually do because no one knows what my title is.
Oh, well, that's a fair statement.
So, Chief of Client Outcomes. So what that really means is I work with folks like Ed and other vertical leaders, and we try to really kind of understand what's happening in the marketplace, how technology can help solve problems, and really when we talk about outcomes, what excites me is how can we make communities safer, healthier, and more prosperous. So here at MTX, we're working hard to kind of figure out how can we leverage these technical advancements, understand business to solve business problems to make citizen services way better.
So you had mentioned citizen services. How does that relate?
So it's like one of over the last 10 years, we've kind of seen just more and more emphasis on how do we make uh, benefits programs or accessing government services easier and easier and easier. Um, in the old days, if I needed a driver's license, if I needed to open a business, I might, driver's license, I go to the DMV and the lines are out the window, out the doors, hundreds and hundreds of people waiting for their licenses and they get their pictures, they go from station to station to station, even if it's just a renewal, even if it's just a renewal. And if you want to open a restaurant, well, forget that. You're going to register your business. You have to go to health. You have to get building permits. You have to get food safety stuff. I mean, you might visit 6 or 7 agencies. So that was 10 years ago. Since then, we've started to have e-licensing systems, and we brought some of those application services to the web. And it's getting even more with some of the newer Gen AI stuff. It's getting more and more exciting.
That's fantastic. I think we've all experienced those long lines at the DMV. Am I right? Yeah, it's to the point where I worked in a large county a long time ago, and they would have people that standing outside soliciting for business. You could pay them $50, and they would go stand in the lines for you to open up your business to file for a DBA. And so I've seen initiatives that I think you're talking about, like one front door, no wrong door. I've seen state governments put that together. Is that what you're talking about? And if so, maybe you can say a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so probably 3 to 5 years ago, states started to come up with strategies to have and maybe as early as 2014, but they started to come up with strategies for a no wrong door. And that applied to human service benefits. So, an individual maybe I'm a single father, I'm taking care of my kid, I'm working 2 jobs, and I need a little help. Supplemental food, food stamps, supplemental food nutrition, temporary need, TANF benefits, whatever, maybe even Medicaid, help with health insurance premiums. So what states started to do was they started to put in, these portals that would allow me to kind of go one place, do a, quick eligibility screening, identify which services that could help me get to the next level, and allow me to kind of streamline the entry. So I would go through one or more forms on the web browser, fill them out, and boom, the systems would submit it. So that's pretty good. And they've gotten better and better. They've gotten more usable, more understandable. And, it's gotten better. But what's really exciting now is with some of the new stuff that's coming out. And by new stuff, I mean AI, I mean conversational AI, natural language stuff. It's just amazing because so so back to I want to open a restaurant today. Imagine, and this is not years from now. This is soon. This is really really soon. But imagine I'm driving around. I'm planning my pizza parlor, and say, okay, I just take the phone. I take the phone, and I start talking to it. I go to my state's Business Express page, and I start talking to it. I said, "Hello, Business Express." It talks back, and we say, "Hey, I want to open a restaurant. What do I need to do?" And it gives me a list I'm not typing anything in the browser. It's just talking to me. It's talking to me. It's kind of running down, this is what you need to do. And then it says, hey, um, how can I help? Can I help you get started? I can help you start to collect information. I can help identify all the documents you're going to need and all the applications you're going to send to the State Department to, to get the business register, to do the entity checks, to start the building, start the building permit process and the health checks and the environmental. So, just all from the phone, all with a conversation. It starts collecting the data, make sure I don't have to, and it makes sure, it kind of normalizes all the questions from all the applications. So the 6 or 7 things I need to do, it normalizes all that into one conversation, collects it one time, and it says, okay, we're ready. We have all these applications filled out, and then sends it on my behalf to all the agencies. And I do that in under 15 minutes.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah, I think we're starting to see the same thing in elections, which I know a little something about, where for instance, candidate filing is multi steps. Typically, you do only have one agency to deal with, be it a state board of elections or the secretaries of state office. But there's so many steps; they have to be done in the correct order. You have to fill in the forms. If you leave out a statement of financial interests step along the way, you can get to the end of the process and have an objection filed against your candidacy, and now you're off
Yeah.
the ballot. So being able to walk people through, just as you were speaking of with the restaurant opening, is really beneficial there. My strong suspicion is there's applications in healthcare as well.
Yeah, healthcare and human services, and it's the same concept. It's the same. Let's get away from the concept of I'm going to fill out all these forms, um, field by field, one at a time. That's the same concept. Let's say, yep, I'm somebody that wants human service. I needs some public assistance, right? Um, come to the phone app, or maybe it's just keeping up with my compliance. Maybe I'm on the programs and I just need to kind of give an update
Hmm.
to stay in compliance with the programs, like the new
Legal
work
requirements.
requirements that's coming out of HR1, the big beautiful bill that everyone's heard about. Um, the same type of thing. I can go to my phone, I can go to a mobile app, I can use the natural language interfaces, or I can talk to it and just start asking a question, say, how am I doing with my work requirements this month? Um, and maybe it can look at my various accounts for me because I gave it permission. I consented. So it has connections to the various agencies that
Mm.
that where I'm participating in benefits. And I say, hey, I've worked 8 hours a day this week, 40 hours a week, no problem. Maybe I work 2 hours a day. Maybe it tells me, well, based on what you're telling me, you're a little short, but maybe there's other activities, and then it can prompt me. We talked about prompting AI, but AI can also prompt us to help collect information. But it can prompt me to say, hey, what about, are you doing any volunteer work? Are you taking care of a child or a sick relative? Are you in job training programs? And just helps collect that information, processes it. And what's neat is as we start, as I consent to give it access to some of the programs that I'm working with the state, it can kind of start to help me, again, prompt me to say, hey, maybe you might want to consider taking 1 or 2 actions today that could help not only with compliance, but get you to the next step on your journey. Maybe it's kind of gather enough information about me through my conversation, my case files, and it can connect me with jobs that are nearby or volunteering. So I can make the work requirements easy. All right. And, work requirements is a great example because for those people that are on W-2s or 1099s, it's very easy for states to get that data. But if I'm doing day jobs, or again, if I'm taking care of a child or someone that's ill, or if I'm on paid family leave, or there's a number of ways to kind of um, qualify to meet the work requirements that go beyond just working the 20 hours a week, the 50% of the time. So, but what I'm starting to see is there's all kinds of applications for these, whether you call it voice bots or natural language conversations. There are all kinds of applications, whether it's applying, maintaining compliance, updating stuff, or kind of doing some doing some screening to say, hey, what programs can help me on my journey, for a healthier, safer, and more prosperous life.
Nice. And they're very personalized, and as you pointed out, they can even think of creative methods to aid you, the customer of that state agency, to
Mhm.
comply and to, like you said, get to the next step
Yeah.
on their journey. That's
No.
that's really beneficial. I mean, we are humans. We have some limitations,
Mhm.
and computers can aid with that thinking.
What's really interesting is we read in the papers all the time that the governments are spending tens or hundreds of $1 millions modernizing their systems. What we're seeing with some of the applications that we're talking about and the new ways to kind of interact with, to interact with, these applications through conversational AI and natural languages. But you know what? We don't have to modernize the transactional systems right away. We can change, we can increase the level of accessibility. We can allow folks, we can kind of give that new channel, that natural language voice channel, like you're talking into a telephone, to a very personalized caseworker. We can give that to folks, for very quick, very small projects where we put on this front end layer. We don't touch the back end systems, and we just send the data back and forth, um, through APIs and stuff. But we don't have to modernize the system to make real impacts and get people real outcomes. Yeah. So that's really exciting.
That is, and it sounds like it would be a really quick hit benefit rather than modernizing the whole system, which is probably a
We're
multi-year
we're, we're
task.
talking weeks and months,
Wow.
not
Yeah.
not years and
Rather than
decades.
years. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
and
That's
not
really
not
cool.
tens and hundreds of millions. We're talking hundreds of thousands, and hundreds of thousands of dollars to get these projects started, um, which is just a different ball game than what you read about in the paper, and as you look at how government agencies are modernizing their systems.
Yeah, the human ROI, in addition to the financial ROI, seems just really extreme
And
with
I
that.
mean the
What a great way to help
hmm
people, to help society. It just sounds like a lot of net good.
It allows you to help one family at a time, one person at a time, and scale it and make it really easy and natural. You're really you're really kind of giving it an assistant to some of the most to the more vulnerable populations. And by doing that and making investments, small investments in them, you're getting them to kind of move up and out, move up the economic ladder to independence. Long term, better, healthier, happier lives.
That's upward mobility is a big part of the American dream. That's fantastic. That's great. Talk about outcomes.
That's
What an outcome, right?
that's
That
outcomes. That's what we
fantastic.
do.
That
Is
that that is what we do.
we try to find strategies that help government agencies make the community stronger,
So
and that's our job, and we love it.
that's absolutely right. So when you're not chiefing these client outcomes, what do you like to do outside?
Oh, all kinds of things. I have lots of hobbies.
I've heard you're handy.
I
Heard you're handy
do
around the
many a
house.
woodworking project. I have wood shop. I've been making birdhouses. Um, I made a big flower pot. It was really funny. But I made 3 flower pots a couple weeks ago. Then I asked my daughter, "Hey, would you paint these for me?" She said, "How big are they?" Well, they're 12 inches high and 12 inches wide. No big deal. She didn't ask how long they were. They were 12 feet long. But she said
Yeah.
yes.
Well,
She said yes, and then
well,
we have to teach her how to scope the projects, right?
yeah, that's a scoping issue for sure. You didn't ask all the questions you might could have asked up front,
Yes.
right? Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I enjoy working with wood too, and we're doing a lot of home renovation back at the ranch, so
Awesome.
everybody's getting to use their fine tools
Hmm.
and do some good woodworking there.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, I want to thank everyone, David. I want to thank everyone for joining this edition of the MTX podcast. Have a good day.